girl. Good girl.
I generally like to graze no more than that 20%. I virtually tip graze in my winter months. I give them the bigger area and they eat less. It's actually beneficial. You've got more of a surface area to capture that sun.
The mouthfuls. Absolutely loving it.
It gives you 2 cracks of coming back and stimulating the grass growth.
G'day folks, Jason here. Thanks for choosing to watch this video. If it's your first time to our channel, welcome. I hope you hang around and enjoy the content. Cheers guys.
What I want to talk about is your summer grazing methods or your methodology and your winter grazing methodology. So obviously during summer here in Queensland, Australia, the temperature gets up, mid 30s to low 30 degrees Celsius during the day, and it very rarely drops at night time to below 22, 23. So the humidity and that hot weather and a bit of rain, because the storm season is great weather for the grass to bloom and really take off. But obviously during the winter months, it's a lot colder. Today, the temperature is probably a high of 28 degrees Celsius, and it's getting down to 18 degrees, 16 degrees overnight. So the weather's starting to taper off, as in the coldness and the humidity, and you really feel the chill in the morning when you wake up. It's starting to get cool, and the dew is here now. So I'm going to start my winter grazing now because it won't be long and the cold weather will be here. So during the summer months, we can graze the plant generally at around about that 50% barrier, but you don't want to definitely go below. If you had a lot of rain and the grass is growing, go to 50% because it's going to grow rapidly. I like to generally leave it 60%. But if you've got a lot of rain and it's growing fast, you can really go down to that 50% level because it's going to take off fast, but because of the heavy rain and the hot weather. But during the winter months, because you're not getting much sunlight and the days are getting shorter and you haven't got the heat, the high temperatures and the humidity, the grass growth really slows down rapidly. So I generally like to graze no more than that 20%. I virtually tip graze in my winter months. So what you're trying to do is keep as much solar panel on the ground, or sorry, on the pasture as possible. That way what sun or warmth is here, you're collecting with more of a panel. So it has a better chance of growing back, recovering faster, as if you're going down to that 60% mark. So they've already grazed this area. There's still a lot of forage here. Like I said, I try and keep 80% of the pasture height when it comes winter grazing. So you're wondering how you only get them to eat that 80%? So what I like to do, guys, when I'm winter grazing is I give them 1.5 the amount of paddock that I would generally give them during summer. That way you're not limiting to what they eat, and they've got half as much again, so they're not going to eat as much in the time you've got them in here, which is, in my case, it's between 10 and 12 hours. So they're really only eating that 20%. They're not eating that 40% down to 60. That's the way you winter graze, is you give them bigger area for the same amount of cattle, so they're eating, they've got a bigger range and they actually eat less. So we'll go for a walk around here and I'll show you areas they've eaten, and then I'll show you the area they've gone into today. See guys, there's ample of grass still on the ground there to get that, capture that carbon and that sunlight to feed the microbes. See, it's all up the top of the hill. So there's loads of grass left, and that's what you want, because we all know in winter months it's going to slow down. And ahead here is where I've actually grazing them now. That's 1.5 times, so that goes from there right up to the gates. So I generally wouldn't be that much, but like I said, I give them the bigger area and they eat less. So it's actually beneficial. You've got more of a surface area to capture that sun. And also why it's beneficial to only eat that 80%, because then in winter time it gives you 2 cracks of coming back and stimulating the grass growth. Because remember, the microbes and the soil, all the soil biology and that, go dormant in the colder weather. So if you were to graze it down to that 60% straight off in winter, and it slows back, the growth is slow in recovery, you're really going to be overgrazing below that 50% next time you come back, and you're not feeding the microbes. When you go to that 80% mark on your first feed or first time through winter, you've left yourself a buffer of 20% because you're generally going to that 60% in summer. So now you get a little bit of growth, but then a few months later you get to come back and go from 80 it may be 85 by then because it's very slow, the growth, and then you get to chew it down to 60%. And what that does is that stimulates any microbiology in there in winter. It stimulates because you're pulling that grass, so you're sending root exudates down through the grass, and the biology in the soil will come up and grab the nutrients it needs to recover that plant. If you only graze it down at 60% first pass, you're going to overgraze, and then you've really, you know, done yourself out of a third pass before it comes to summer. And what it also does, you're also putting the fertility back, so they come round, the microbes and the worms would have taken the manure and all the cycling, the goodness through the soil the first pass round. The second pass, you're adding more manure, so you get more nutrients, and then just before spring, you do a third pass again and you add more nutrient cycle back, rather than just one big pass, graze it down to 60% or 50% if you go over graze, and then you've only got one cycle through the whole of winter to add that nutrients and trying to excite the microbes over winter.
So they've been in this section just a little over 5 hours now, so they're coming up to approximately halfway to that 10 hour, 12 hour mark. And as you can see, they've had a pretty good crack. There's still a lot of that grass there. If you look behind that poly line, the poly braid, it was like seeded pasture, so they've eaten all the seed heads off the stuff here already.
Come on, girls. Good girls. Good girls.
The neighbour just come up and asked me if they're going to graze their land, so I'll probably put them next door there. Top of the dam there, they've got 3 days worth, and they've got another paddock further down which is well and truly metre and that high, so it's too high for their horse. I'm going to throw them in there for a week or so and knock it down for them, so that's an added bonus. But yeah, they're loving this new growth. Mouthfuls, you know, you're definitely not going to get that on a continuous graze property, guys. You never get this high. Never. Look at that. Look at the mouthfuls. Absolutely loving it. They let their feet do the work, adding that carbon back to the ground, chopping that grass, feed those microbes. You know, and that decays, and then that's where you get your topsoil. That soft topsoil on the top of the surface which you want. It acts like a sponge when it rains. Holds all that water, holds it longer, which means in time of drought you've got a bigger water bank on your property than you would have if you continual graze like I've done on that other video, building back topsoil video. If you have a look at that one, the continual graze property, after 2 weeks of heavy rain, there was absolutely no moisture in that soil. It was dry. When I went across where I was slashing, because I haven't got fences up there, it was like mud. It was holding that much moisture, just for that little bit of armour you've got on the ground.
So on that note, just finished topping up this water here, and we'll call it. I've got to head back out the other farm now, so I've got some stumps there, some trees I've lopped on my fence line, which I need to, there's a couple more I've got to cut off, and then I've got to hire a stump grinder to grind them off below ground level. That'll enable you to get my timeless fence up, because the good news is it's actually arrived in Sydney last week, sitting in a warehouse, and it should be up here next week. So I better get cracking and get these stumps ground off so I can put the fence up. Righto guys, have a great morning, a terrific afternoon, and an awesome evening guys, wherever you're watching this from, and we'll catch you later.